Greetings, I'm playing on 888 Poker using Pokertracker4 with my optimized Pokertracker4 HUD. I'm only going to play for about half an hour and let's just see what happens here. I'll talk a little bit about the HUD shortly. Okay, that's a pretty nice draw for me and I'm going to up the ante. Question mark there about whether the aggression is the right thing to do. This guy doesn't like to fold, which is something that I've already identified. Although it's only based on 4 hands at this stage. I'd prefer to, I should have actually played lower, and I'll take the pot, of course, but it would be nicer to actually get someone in and increase the pot. So I probably should have gone for maybe 4 big blinds. I'm actually going to just go in here in Pokertracker4 and tag the hand as review, so I can go back and have another look at that later and remind myself how I could have played that better. I've just been reading a book about beating fish, and I'm sorry I can't remember who wrote it. I'll dig that up and share it in the notes below this recording. But what I was currently reading was the difference in how you can build a pot up to a good winning, an amount that you really want to win, rather than just getting everyone to fold. I know it was a drawing hand, but it was a drawing hand with lots of outs, and I think there's a pretty good likelihood that I would have continued to do well with that. Okay, we've got ace suited. I can't make a straight out of that, so it's only really flush potential with the ace. I'm just going to call on this one. I'm a little bit weary of this play here. I've identified them as a, here we go, sort of similar situation. I'm going to check that as well. Okay, I now have the nut flush. I don't really want to let on that I've got it, but I need to bet something. 3 cents should be pretty safe. This person also doesn't like to fold, but they're going to fold. Okay, all right, not interested in that hand. So yes, I've identified this person, that's why they're purple, as a tight aggressive player. And I've recorded that both in Pokertracker4 and in 888 as well, which is this one here, which should actually come up. There we go. Tight, good is what I've called it. So as we work our way through here, just to let you know what I've got in my heads up display and why it's of value to me. I'm also using the Tommy Emmanuel waiting for straighters experiment here, which is why I called that hand. And what have I got? 5. I've got a gut shot, that's about it. I'll call the 2 cents. Yeah, not looking great for me. Check. If he bets again, I'm folding. Yep, I'm out of. You'll see that my HUD is color coded, so that's designed to help me get a much better idea of the types of players that I'm competing against, and just highlighting things that I might want to know about. The actual color coding I've got from Sky Matsuhashi, and I'd strongly recommend you go and visit his site, which is smartpokerstudy.com. He's got podcasts, he's got videos, he's on Twitch, and I recently participated in a fantastic webinar that he presented, which was all about heads-up displays. So the key point with the heads-up display is that it gives you an advantage over people who aren't using them, and potentially even people who have them but aren't using them particularly well. And I'm continuing to study how to maximize that opportunity. So I recommend you look up that recent webinar from Sky on smartpokerstudy.com, which you can still watch, and there are a whole lot of handouts from that, including 5 heads-up display profiles for PokerTracker4 and 5 for Holdem Manager. So if you use either of those, it's going to give you a significant advantage over other players. I also have an affiliate code for PokerTracker4 that you can use. So there'll be a link in the notes to this recording. Makes no difference to you, but it gives me a little bit of a bonus if you purchase the software using that link. So full disclaimer. PokerTracker4 will allow you to try the software for free for a month. So I'd recommend you both try it and check out the webinar to give you a quick boost up as to how to maximize the opportunity of using a heads-up display. And then after the month's up, you can buy it. There's the full version or the limited version, which is for low-end pots. I can't remember. I think it goes up to $1 or $2, which is the version that I'm using. All the other functionality is there. You can use PokerTracker4 on the top, or many of the top poker game apps. For example, I'm now on 888 Poker. You can use it on Party Poker. You can use it on PokerStars. So a lot of different places where it is fully functional and supported. And there are a huge range of functions that I'm not going to go into here, but you keep all your record histories against other players, all your history for yourself for both tournaments and cash games. It's an interesting one. If there's only callers, I'll call because I'm on the button. Yep. And it's what we call a straighter from Tommy Emmanuel's book, which I also highly recommend. And no, I'm not going to go there. This guy is kind of interesting and a little bit dangerous. So if we have a look at his statistics, he plays, and that's why he's in that dark blue, 73% of hands, so 11 out of 15 hands he has played, and he's pre-flop raised 3 out of those hands, or 20%, which makes him an aggressive player. So I don't particularly like either of these two people, in fact 3 people to my left, but I've also got a couple of nits. In fact, I might as well stay here for now, but it's not an optimal table to be on because there are effectively several of us looking to feed off the fish, and I in fact can't see any fish here. So what I might actually do is I'm going to quit this table. I've made a tiny little bit of money out of it. I'm going to move this across so you can see it, and I'm going to look at and see if I can find any fish in the 1 cent, 2 cent areas. So I've got 3 chickens there, nits. I've got one tight good player, a nit and a good player. So I don't actually have a lot to choose from with the players that are here. I've got a whole lot of players there that I don't know anything about, which I could potentially try. One good player there. But this information has come from what I've recorded from playing these people previously. So I'm going to have a look at this table. We'll just move it back in here and take that seat because I don't know anyone on this table. At the very least, I will now learn something about some more players. So pretty sure at this stage I don't know anything about these people. I'll find out soon because the HUD will magically appear once I've played a hand, and this constitutes playing a hand, even though I'm likely to fold. I'll say check fold because there's no way that I'm interested in 2-6 off. So all we know at this stage is that only one player starting out, there you go, even his name says it all, has very little in the way of, well, has less than half the allowable chips. So generally what we think is that, or I think is that if a player doesn't have a full 100 big blinds minimum on the table, then they're probably not a very experienced player. If you were to have an all-in moment, for example, playing Major Tom up there, you would want to have at least your 100 big blinds so that you can try and take 100 big blinds off that player. There we go. HUD's magically appeared. Under the gun, not interested in under the gun. Okay, so I have information on some of these, which is interesting. So if we look at this guy here, I've got a funny feeling he was on the other table. So I've actually got 16 hands on him. He looks like a calling station because he's played 50% of the hands of those 16 hands. So he hasn't raised them, so he's playing really tight and potentially fishy, which is what I'm looking for. Folds to pre-flop raise 71% of the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm at this stage going to note him down as a calling station. Good that the color is blue because that sort of matches this one up here, and I'm going to do the same on here. I used yellow on Pokertracker4, so just put a note there, calling station. I can change that at any time, and obviously 16 hands is next to nothing to get an impression from, and neither is the way he's played the kings. That's perfectly fine. And a nice little win to him, except that we have two pair over there, so you didn't actually win. Excuse me. Abu Nadir won that. No, not interested in that. And the winning hand, let me see if I can just locate that. Full house, 5s and 3s. So, good idea of that. And 37-cent rake out of that. That's kind of interesting. I wasn't aware that PokerStar, that Triple Eight took such a big rake. So they obviously love hands like that. Now that guy actually disappeared now. He's left the table after his big loss. And the good thing is that I was able to record that information about him before he left the table. So again, next time I face that player, I'll have some good information about him. Another big hand here, the same Sashka from Russia, has gone all in with $2. and we've got someone over here having a think about whether they want to play on that table or not, or play that hand or not, given that they raised to start with. So where are we? 3 hands. I've got another player here, Nemo, and I've got 14 hands of information on that person, and they're playing fishy, which is again what I was looking for. So I'm going to go there, tag them as a fish so that I know, and any time in future when I come up against them, I'll know that for now at least I've identified them as being fishy. Now they haven't played the last couple of hands, which means that temporarily their Pokertracker4 HUD information isn't available. It'll come back as soon as they're available to play. So with the other players, really at this stage, I've only got 4 hands of information on them, which isn't enough to form an opinion at all. Any action they take will dramatically change the information that I've got and render my previous suspicions as potentially wrong, which could be significant if I think, for example, let's find one over here. They've played 5 hands. They've only folded to a pre-flop raise once out of 4 hands. So you would suspect that that says that the laggy look there is part of their character, but it could be that, like that previous hand that they had appear, or a good calling hand, was getting a bit aggressive. I'm not interested in that, even though it's not a bad drawing hand. I still don't know enough about that person. Their VPIP is consistent, which basically says you're playing 20% of hands, which is a good number, and it's only one hand that they've raised pre-flop, but it says 20%. So it just shows that the statistics are relatively meaningless when you've only got a few hands on a player. But it's good to be aware of. The other interesting statistic there is that they've won 3 hands. Now, middle position, I'm going to call that, and the reason I'm calling it is both because it's suited, because of the connectors, and because 10 Jack is the best drawing hand for a straight. Straight isn't going to happen, but I have got top pair, and I'm going to have to put some money in there just to see whether I can get an easy win. Yes, thank you very much. And now I have another hand that I'm going to have to consider. I'm going to check this, or call it I should say, and just see what happens, see if I can get a cheap flop, because I do have some aggressive players around me. Okay, well, I'm going to have to call that, obviously, because it's too good a hand to not call, but I might have got a raise previously. This is kind of interesting because now I've got potential for weak potential for a flush, weak potential for a nasty. Okay, no, I'm out of there. That's a shame. Folding that one. Just show you briefly, I've also got collecting a huge amount of information about myself. So when I want to actually figure out what my range is and see how that's going, I can go in there and build up a pretty good chart using something like Flopzilla to see what my range is in various positions. PokerTracker4 also offers a lot more information. If I just click on that, you'll see that there's a lot more information that I can see, how they play, pre-flop, how they play on the flop, how they play on the turn, the river. This is a bug. I thought I'd got rid of that, but clearly not. But it doesn't affect the way the game's recorded or the information's recorded and shared. I'll just show you one of the HUDs that Sky sent. This is a HUD about pre-flop calling, and it's one that was sent to me as a bonus, or sent to everyone who attended the webinar, and you'll get that as well if you watch the webinar, which is a pre-flop calling exploit HUD. So you see all those numbers have changed now, and this HUD is basically designed to give you information that can help you only pre-flop. It provides the information of how many hands you've got against them, the VPIP again, so this person, I've only got 9 hands. Oh, very aggressive here, that's interesting. And a very aggressive call from Nemo as well, all in. So we're going to see some interesting action here. So 2 pair, and over here we've got a set. So Abu's giving away the money that he collected previously. Very nice hand for Nemo. Okay, action on the small blind for me. So yeah, I've got the VPIP is, in this case, 50-20, which is very loose aggressive, but only 10 hands. 3-bet 25% of the time. And then we can see things that ways they play. I'm going to call that in which position. Oh, that's kind of nice. So I have to bet because I want to, I'm going to just drop that fraction. I do want to build that pot if I can. That might still be too much. No, good. Even better. Now, I'm not going to raise. I'm just going to call that because I want to keep these guys in the hand. Okay, one's gone. So now I'm going to go for, I'll go for 2/3 and see whether he's still interested. Hoping he is. I'm just thinking about it now. Possibly, yeah, realised that I had king. That's okay. That's still a nice little win. And we're going to call that. I sometimes have a tendency of being too aggressive, and I'm trying to block that leak. Because I've been drawn into hands that ended up not being particularly lucrative. And this would be an example. I'm going to fold that because it doesn't look like I'm going to get anywhere. Good fold. There's a good flush opportunity there, potential there for someone. Okay. Good hand for starting out. And I'm going to fold this one. So if I take this guy, for example, I'll show you a couple of things actually. I'll just show you that too, highlight there. So Pokertracker4 has recorded that automatically. I didn't have to do that myself. That they 3-bet on a pair of queens, which is a perfectly correct play. Still, as I said, loose aggressive. So calling 2-bet at this stage, the only time that they've called a 2-bet is when they were on the button. They have 3-bet themselves from middle position, and that was probably the queens. I don't remember. So when those statistics get up to a serious number, which they're not at the moment, it'll give you an idea of whether you should 2-bet and what the likelihood is. And of course, in some situations, you want people to stay in. Sometimes you want them to fold. I'm going to fold there. That's way too weak. And sometimes it's telling you you don't want to. If they're in a situation where they always call a raise, they don't like to fold. If you're trying to bluff, you definitely wouldn't want to be raising. So that's why you'd want to know how and when they two-bet. Sorry, when they called a two-bet or when they three-bet. So this fish is an interesting example. So they've two-bet from early position. So that's in the cutoff potentially. And they've done that twice out of 3 opportunities. And they've also, it's probably one, yep, called two-bet from middle position. The only time they've three-bet has in fact been from early position, or in other words, out of position. So I think it's a pretty good bet that that person is a fish, and therefore someone who likes fishing, I'll be quite keen to take a few chips off them. So I may get an opportunity here if I'm lucky. We're up to Mr. Abu Nadir, who's continuing to be reasonably laggy, but that's a little bit more. I'm going to have to call that. I'm not going to fold as queen suited. Unfortunately, I'm not getting much out of it. If he raises again, I'm going to have to fold that. And there's a good likelihood. No, he's going to check it out. Okay. Maybe he's sitting on an ace as well. Ace, 2, 3. So 4 would give me a straight. There's no potential for a flush. And probably the only hand, yeah, I'm going to have to call 2 cents, that's of any advantage to me is an ace, and I reckon he's got one as well. So blocked it pretty well. Okay. I've got nothing. I've got ace high. So he's got ace high as well. A bit like my queen will be good. No, got a pair of sixes over there. All right, that's okay. Not interested, thank you. Okay, we'll record just for a little bit longer. But hopefully you've got a bit of an idea of how Pokertracker4 can help. I got some other HUDs as well, which I haven't used yet. And there's this one, which is about raising first in. So looking at who raises first in and on what position. So again, my guy over here, the lag, he's raised first in from early position. That's probably those queens again. And he's isolated, tried to isolate a bet when there have been limpers once in the cutoff, which is not a bad position. You'll see that I want to, it's actually really hard to see here. So I'm just checking that. Why I'm bothering, because I've got nothing. I'm going to fold. Really no relevance here. So it's actually really hard to see anything, and I'm going to, normally what you do is you move those HUDs away and spread them out so that you can see them better. That's pretty ugly, and I don't like being able to see what's going on. Another one I've got there is a C-bet exploit HUD. So this is to look at how to exploit people who continuation bet. So what I've got here is again the VPIP, how many times someone bet pre-flop, and then flop the turn in the river, because we're no longer looking at the flop, how often they continuation bet and how often they folded to a continuation bet. So our fish Nemo here has folded to a continuation bet twice, which is really good to know. This guy here, who's been pretty solid, has continuation bet both on the turn twice, sorry, the flop twice, and on the turn once, and the others haven't. So again, really useful information. And as I said, these HUDs were bonuses from the Sky Matsuhashi webinar on heads-up displays. So that's that one. Another one he gave me was a HUD which is designed to help you exploit limpers. So again, on the top line, we've got how many hands we've got on them. We've got how often they've 3-bet, 40% of the time. Then we've got here how often they limped. So we'll wait and see if that's outside of range of a straighter. I can still get a straight from that hand, and I'm only playing it because I'm in the cutoff. Okay, so I've got 3 diamonds, got a pair of queens, so I'm going to have to bet for my late position. Oh, now that's interesting. So what can I do here? 8, 9, 10, yeah, I'll play it. It's marginal. There's a potential straight there. There's no flush. And Nemo really felt that he had a strong hand, and who am I to argue? Folding that. So we've got percentage of time pre-flop limped. So looking for limpers. This guy I've got 10 hands on. He's limped 8 out of 11 hands. He's called pre-flop. That's all. Anything interesting here? Okay, this one, 1 out of 9 hands he's raised when there were previous limpers. So that's a little bit more information. Same here with Nemo, which is probably the hand we just played. So that's that one. And the last one that I got from Sky, which I'm hoping to show you, change profile, which is a steal exploit HUD. So this is about people that try to steal hands. So the attempt to steal, I'm going to fold that. So do I have anyone where I've got an attempt to steal? No. Oh yes, here we go. So this person attempted to steal the blinds once, and the next one is if they folded to a pre-flop 3-bet after stealing at the cutoff. Next one is fold blind to steal. So they had a blind and they folded, so meaning effectively that the attempt to steal was successful. And the final statistic is when they 3-bet when facing a steal on the blind. Or, sorry, cutoff button, small blind, big blind. So we've got those 3 positions. So depending on what your game is focused on, there are some amazing tools here, and that's just the ones that he gave me. There are also a number of HUDs that PokerTracker4 themselves provide. So they've got a default cache heads up display, which is this one. You'll see the color coding isn't there, so it's a pretty basic heads up display. What do we got? No, I'm not going to call on the big blind. We've got cash heads up display based on Harrington, which is obviously a legendary coach. So we've got the usual VPIP, we've got attempt to steal, we've got fold blind to steal, which we were looking at previously, 3 bets, fold to 3 bets, we've got aggression factor, folding that, flop aggression factor, turn aggression factor, river aggression factor, continuation bet, fold to flop continuation bet, fold to turn continuation bet. Yeah, I might just focus on the game here, and I'm going to call that, and I'm going to go back to my, so there are more profiles, I'm just going to my cash profile for now. That doesn't look like my cash profile. Try it again, change profile, yeah. So my color coding wasn't there, there we go. Now I'm back and not liking that, I'm gonna have to fold. And I need to start doing my work on collecting information on players. So let's start with Primo up here. Primo's 666, trying to scare people maybe. So he's put money in the pot, so he's a classic limper and he's a calling station. But interestingly, he doesn't like to fold to a pre-flop raise. So he doesn't raise himself, but he doesn't like to fold if someone else raises. So he's like, he's a fish. But I'm going to put him down as a calling station. So here, calling station, save, because he's playing every second hand. And we'll do the same up here. Yellow is my calling station color. See here also we've got called bet with blinds range 10-10, that's fair enough, but ace-6 offsuit, he's just going with the ace. And he called a 3-bet out of position with that ace-6 offsuit. So he's a good target for us. No, not interested in that. This guy's dropping snowballs on the guy below him, just trying to irritate him, I think. Okay, what do we have here? We've got the 2 cents. I'm waiting for straighters. That's a call because we've only got one card between the 2 and the 4, so that could make a potential straight, depending on the flop, and it would be a good one, particularly from the perspective that most players would be looking at. There we go. What do we got? We've got a pair of 4s. We've got 2, 3, 4s. So we've still got straight potential. We don't have flush potential. We've got middle pair. I'm going to call that 2 cents. And not looking so good anymore. If there's a bet here, I'm out. No longer make a straight. Interesting that others are folding as well. So chances are someone's got a king or a queen because they're looking at premium hands. I'd be looking for someone to bet here. Interesting that they haven't. Maybe someone's got an 8, middle pair. Okay, I'm going to fold because I'm sure. Yeah, there we go. Queen 8, 2 pair. Just going to pause for a moment. I think we'll actually call it here. I said I'd do half an hour. I've done 40 minutes. And whilst I've made a few cents. I'll just play this one last hand. It's been a fairly uneventful period of play, but hopefully you've seen the benefits of Pokertracker4 and the amount of information that you can glean from different players. So check the notes for links, and I hope you found this useful. We'll just finish this hand, see whether I get lucky on it. And I will go here and say sit out next hand, and we'll see what happens next. So that's not looking particularly nice at all. If there's any raises, I'm out, and that'll be the end of this tape. Okay, still in. We've got two more players ahead of us. We've got Nemo. Okay, I've now got a pair, and you would think that no one's got the queen unless they're playing really super tight. So we'll just see what happens here. Just looking to raise the pot a little in case. And I'm going to raise it a little again just in case. And let's see what Nemo's got or not. Okay, nice little win to finish off with, and I'm out of here. Thanks very much for watching, and welcome your comments. See you. Oh, and don't forget to check out the show notes.